actually grew up not too far from here at East Midlands. I used to come here plane spotting back in the late 90s. When I had my pilot's licence, I was based out here for a while. So you're probably wondering why I don't fly from here that often these days. You see, passenger-wise, East Midlands primarily serves the Bucket and Spade routes, the holiday charter flights down to the Mediterranean and the Black Sea coasts, and that's exactly what I'm going to be doing today. I'm flying with BH Air, a Bulgarian holiday airline from here at East Midlands down to Burgas in Bulgaria. It's an airline that you see all over Europe at this time of year, flying into little regional airports, taking holiday makers down to the sun in Bulgaria, but it's an airline that I've never flown on, so let's head inside and see what they're like.
First stop this morning was to check in. BH Air don't offer any online check-in, and I got to the airport several hours early, fearing the usual queues that East Midlands faces at this time of year. BH Air offer free bags on all of their flights, in contrast to many British airlines who charge for bags unless you've taken out a package holiday. Morning, just checking in please.
Okay, you checking your bag in?
No, just come back in. 6A, hallelujah. Thank you, cheers, thank you, bye-bye. Check-in complete, I headed to security where I bought a fast-track pass for £5. Yes, thank you, cheers. I've seen queues the length of the check-in hall before at East Midlands, so I didn't want to get caught out. Fortunately the line wasn't too bad, and aside from a couple of chances trying to chop under the barrier to fast track, who was swiftly removed by security, it went pretty smoothly indeed. East Midlands Airport has seen a lot of renovations in the last few years and is now totally unrecognisable from the days when I used to come here plane spotting. The original viewing deck is now located upstairs as a smoking area which you can only get to from airside.
Ladies and gentlemen, please help us to keep the number of security alerts down by keeping your luggage with you at all times.
East Midlands is a big holiday airport, with a catchment area spanning from Yorkshire down to the Midlands. It's a base for Ryanair and Jet2, who still operate these really old 737-300s from East Midlands to holiday destinations down in the Mediterranean. Fairly soon my aircraft arrived in from Burgas in this beautiful, colourful, rather albino looking livery. This aircraft was originally delivered to Bulgarian holiday outfit Aviation in 2007. It was sold to BH Air in 2015 and has flown for NASA Saudi Arabia, Vietnamese carrier Vietjet and SmartLynx Estonia in its 12 years. I headed down to the gate area, which I've only ever used before on flights up to Scotland with BMI Baby and more recently Flybe. Hiya.
Hi.
Thank you. It was nice to be able to walk to the aircraft rather than getting on a bus, and we headed out into the morning sunshine to get on board our ride. BH Air is the airline division of Balkan Holidays, who have been operating since 2002. They operate primarily from Burgas and Varna and serve regional airports right across Europe throughout the summer months. Hello there. Thank you. Thank you. In the UK alone, they serve 15 airports from Aberdeen in the north to Bristol in the southwest and almost everywhere in between. The BH Air cabin is very colourful and has smart leather seats with multicoloured headrests.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
The seats are really cramped though, and I really struggled to fit in them being over 6 feet tall. I also found that my recline button was broken, as were many on board, so the seat wouldn't stay upright. Fairly soon everybody was on board and we pushed back for our flight to Burgas. Aside from the holiday flights, East Midlands is a busy cargo hub for DHL, who operate a huge facility at the west end of the airport. On a Sunday morning, however, it was pretty quiet. We lined up on runway 09 for our departure to the east. Our route today then took us southeast out of East Midlands to cross Suffolk and the North Sea into the Netherlands. We crossed Germany, Czechia, Slovakia, Hungary and Romania before descending over Bulgaria into Burgas. Flight time today was 3 hours 11 minutes at a cruising altitude of 35,000 feet. As we flew overhead Suffolk, the in-flight service started. BH Air offer a full buy-on-board service with alcohol, soft drinks, teas, coffees and snacks. I did find the prices pretty steep for a Bulgarian carrier. Considering that you can buy 500ml of lager in Bulgaria for 90 pence, even in the tourist resorts, £3 for just 330ml seems particularly expensive. I opted just to grab a coffee and a bottle of water that set me back 7 lev, or around £3.25.
Anything else?
That's everything.
7 left.
When you order a coffee on the move in Eastern Europe, usually you're just given a cup of hot water and a sachet of instant coffee. This does frustrate me slightly, as I could have bought my own sachet of instant coffee and not been charged over £2 for the privilege. If you're going to charge £2 for a cup of coffee, at least make it properly. The flight was, as to be expected, really noisy. There were a lot of families with young kids on board heading off for their holidays. Holidaymakers make up around 95% of the passengers on this flight, although there were also a few Bulgarians heading home to see their family. The onboard shopping selection on BH Air included a lot of branded promotional toys. They did have a nice BH Air A320 model, which I didn't buy sadly, mainly because I didn't want to be carrying it around on the rest of my trip. The service was pretty good on board overall. The crew were constantly coming up and down the aisle taking orders for more food and drink, in contrast to some airlines where you don't see the crew after the initial service. I spent most of the flight watching some Netflix, and before I knew it we were commencing our descent over Bulgaria. commenced our final approach for a bruiser of a landing at Burgos Airport. As I re-straightened my spine, let me talk about how much this flight cost. I paid £120.75 for my flight by booking directly on the Balkan Holidays website. Other sites such as Apodo or Expedia wanted to charge another £30, and Balkan Holidays themselves didn't show up on Skyscanner or Memondo, so make sure you check their website directly. This works out at a price of 8 pence per mile, which I found pretty acceptable. Overall, I was fairly impressed with BH Air. They were certainly no worse than any other British charter airline, and despite the high buy-on-board prices and the terrible coffee, offered a reasonable level of service.
Thank you, bye-bye.
The lack of online check-in was a little bit frustrating, but the lack of baggage fees compared to the British Airlines means they're more than forgiven on that front.
Okay, so that was fairly interesting. I've had to walk about 10 minutes away from the airport to this lovely beach here, Black Sea just over there. Reason for that being that I ended up having taken the little video of the Balkan Airlines plane on the roundabouts up at the airport. I ended up getting collared by 2 Bulgarian police officers who then decided to go through my passport and everything, asking me a ton of questions, a full interrogation. Why was I here? Why had I been to Ukraine before? Why have I been to Russia before? It was a little bit kind of crazy. So I'm here now at this little beach, which is absolutely stunning. I've got a few hours here now ahead of my next flight. BH Air, nothing special, but certainly no worse than a lot of the British charter airlines I've flown with. You kind of get what you pay for. They're relatively cheap, and they're one of the only airlines that will bring you here to Bergen. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you think to BH Air down in the comments section below. But in the meantime, take care, thank you, and I'll see you next time here on In Flight Video.